The President, in his discretion, and under such terms as he may prescribe, may extend any of the benefits of this title to any state, county, or municipality, notwithstanding any constitutional or legal restriction or limitation on the right or power of such state, county, or municipality to borrow money or incur indebtedness. Section 204. A. For the purpose of providing for emergency construction of public highways and related projects, the President is authorized to make grants to the highway departments of the several states in an amount not less than $400 million, to be expended by such departments in accordance with the provisions of the Federal Highway Act, approved November 9, 1921, as amended and supplemented, except as provided in this title, as follows. 1. For expenditure in emergency construction on the federal-aid highway system and extensions thereof into and through municipalities. The amount apportioned to any state under this paragraph may be used to pay all or any part of the cost of surveys, plans, and of highway and bridge construction, including the elimination of hazards to highway traffic, such as the separation of grades at crossing, the reconstruction of existing railroad grade crossing structures, the relocation of highways to eliminate railroad crossings, the widening of narrow bridges and roadways, the building of footpaths, the replacement of unsafe bridges, the construction of routes to avoid congested areas, the construction of facilities to improve accessibility and the free flow of traffic, and the cost of any other construction that will provide safer traffic facilities or definitely eliminate existing hazards to pedestrian or vehicular traffic. No funds made available by this title shall be used for the acquisition of any land, right-of-way, or easement in connection with any railroad grade elimination project. 2. For expenditure in emergency construction on secondary or feeder roads to be agreed upon by the state highway departments and the Secretary of Agriculture, provided that the state or responsible political subdivision shall provide for the proper maintenance of said roads. Such grants shall be available for payment of the full cost of surveys, plans, improvement, and construction of secondary or feeder roads, on which projects shall be submitted by the State Highway Department and approved by the Secretary of Agriculture. B. Any amount allocated by the President for grants under subsection A of this section shall be apportioned among the several states 7/8 in accordance with the provisions of Section 21 of the Federal Highway Act, approved November 9, 1921. As amended and supplemented, which act is hereby further amended for the purposes of this title, to include the District of Columbia, and 1/8 in the ratio which the population of each state bears to the total population of the United States, according to the latest decennial census, and shall be available on July 1, 1933, and shall remain available until expended, but no part of the funds apportioned to any state need be matched by the state, and such funds may also be used in lieu of state funds to match unobligated balances of previous apportionments of regular federal aid appropriations. C. All contracts involving the expenditure of such grants shall contain provisions establishing minimum rates of wages to be predetermined by the State Highway Department, which contractors shall pay to skilled and unskilled labor, and such minimum rates shall be stated in the invitation for bids, and shall be included in proposals for bids for the work. D. In the expenditure of such amounts, the limitations in the Federal Highway Act, approved November 9, 1921, as amended and supplemented, upon highway construction, reconstruction, and bridges within municipalities, and upon payments per mile which may be made from federal funds, shall not apply. E. As used in this section, the term state includes the territory of Hawaii and the District of Columbia. The term highway as defined in the Federal Highway Act, approved November 9, 1921, as amended and supplemented, for the purposes of this section, shall be deemed to include such main parkways as may be designated by the state and approved by the Secretary of Agriculture as part of the federal aid highway system. F. Whenever, in connection with the construction of any highway project, under this section or Section 202 of this Act, it is necessary to acquire rights of way over or through any property or tracts of land owned and controlled by the government of the United States, it shall be the duty of the proper official of the government of the United States having control of such property or tracts of land with the approval of the President and the Attorney General of the United States, and without any expense whatsoever to the United States, to perform any acts, and to execute any agreements necessary to grant the rights of way, so required, but if at any time the land or the property the subject of the agreement shall cease to be used for the purposes of the highway, the title in and the jurisdiction over the land or property shall automatically revert to the government of the United States, and the agreement shall so provide. G. Hereafter in the administration of the Federal Highway Act, and acts amendatory thereof or supplementary thereto, the first paragraph of Section 9 of said act shall not apply to publicly owned toll bridges or approaches thereto, operated by the Highway Department of any state, subject, however, to the condition that all tolls received from the operation of any such bridge, less the actual cost of operation and maintenance, shall be applied to the repayment of the cost of its construction or acquisition. And when the cost of its construction or acquisition shall have been repaid in full, such bridge thereafter shall be maintained and operated as a free bridge. Section 205. A. Not less than $50 million of the amount made available by this act shall be allotted for A. National Forest highways, B. National Forest roads, trails, bridges, and related projects, C. National Park roads and trails in national parks owned or authorized, D. Roads on Indian reservations, and E. Roads through public lands, to be expended in the same manner as provided in paragraph 2 of Section 301 of the Emergency Relief and Construction Act of 1932. In the case of appropriations allocated for such purposes, respectively, in such Section 301, to remain available until expended, B. The President may also allot funds made available by this act for the construction, repair, and improvement of public highways in Alaska, the Canal Zone, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Section 206. All contracts let for construction projects, and all loans and grants pursuant to this title shall contain such provisions as are necessary to ensure 1. That no convict labor shall be employed on any such project, 2. That, except in executive, administrative, and supervisory positions, so far as practicable and feasible, no individual directly employed on any such project shall be permitted to work more than 30 hours in any 1 week. 3. That all employees shall be paid just and reasonable wages which shall be compensation sufficient to provide for the hours of labor as limited, a standard of living in decency and comfort. 4. That in the employment of labor in connection with any such project, preference shall be given, where they are qualified, to ex-servicemen with dependents, and then in the following order. A. To citizens of the United States and aliens who have declared their intention of becoming citizens who are bona fide residents of the political subdivision and/or county in which the work is to be performed, and B. To citizens of the United States and aliens who have declared their intention of becoming citizens who are bona fide residents of the state, territory, or district in which the work is to be performed, provided that these preferences shall apply only where such labor is available and qualified to perform the work to which the employment relates, and 5. That the maximum of human labor shall be used in lieu of machinery, wherever practicable and consistent with sound economy and public advantage. Section 207. A. For the purpose of expediting the actual construction of public works contemplated by this title, and to provide a means of financial assistance to persons under contract with the United States to perform such construction, the President is authorized and empowered through the Administrator, or through such other agencies as he may designate or create, to approve any assignment executed by any such contractor, with the written consent of the surety or sureties upon the penal bond executed in connection with his contract, to any national or state bank, or his claim against the United States or any part of such claim under such contract, and any assignment so approved shall be valid for all purposes, notwithstanding the provisions of Sections 3737 and 3477 of the revised statutes, as amended. B. The funds received by a contractor, under any advances made in consideration of any such assignment, are hereby declared to be trust funds in the hands of such contractor, to be first applied to the payment of claims of subcontractors, architects, engineers, surveyors, laborers, and material men in connection with the project, to the payment of premiums on the penal bond or bonds, and premiums accruing during the construction of such project on insurance policies taken in connection therewith. Any contractor and any officer, director, or agent of any such contractor who applies or consents to the application of such funds for any other purpose, and fails to pay any claim or premium hereinbefore mentioned, shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and shall be punished by a fine of not more than $1,000, or by imprisonment for not more than 1 year, or by both such fine and imprisonment.